Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Hogs Happy Hour. Okay, uh, if you join us, usually we have Dave come on later in the show, but the way the schedule works today, we are going to have our good friend Dave Shumate join us today to talk a little SEC football. So, Dave,
What's
how's it
going
going?
on, man?
Not much, not much. Just getting
Appreciate y'all having me on again. It's always fun to
yes,
come
sir.
chop it up with y'all, especially big week for the backs, man. Big week for the
Yeah,
Razorbacks.
yeah. Well, the next 2 weeks will be kind of back to back.
You feel like hell we may get into this, but I'm gonna ask you. You feel like they gotta have both? Do you think one and one's more the realistic?
Well, with the way Arkansas fans feel right now, they've got to have both.
You think?
Yeah, the vibe right now in Arkansas is not very good. I'll tell you that.
Certainly
But
one. You're right. Certainly, but yeah, it sounds like 2-0. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with the way the Hogs are playing right now. We're 2-1. I mean, people expected us not to beat Oklahoma State. I mean,
Dude, they should have won
but
that game,
they
man.
should have won. I mean,
Dude, I knew it was over.
yeah,
I don't know if I've been on y'all show since they played Oklahoma State or was it
uh,
the week of, but
yeah,
it, once Satania fumbled that punt when they were up 8, I think if he just catches that punt and you tell me I don't know what else happens the rest of the game, I'm like, if he
yeah,
probably just catches that punt, it's over.
yeah. Which
In the
earlier in the
moment, it wasn't over, but it probably
yeah.
doesn't get tied and they go into
Yeah.
overtime.
Earlier in the game, there was another punt, and like he almost fumbled that punt, and it was
Yeah.
the same thing
Yeah.
on that second
But shoot, I
time.
was texting my buddy who's on their staff at halftime, their assistant director of player personnel, and he's like, "What'd you think of the first half?" I was like, "Dude, I mean, y'all are kicking their ass, man. It's about as dominant as you can look, and it feels like y'all should be up more." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, the only way y'all lose is if everything doesn't go y'all's way in the second half," and literally it did.
It did, and somehow it got to overtime. I mean, we were shocked at that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I mean, I think Arkansas fan, if Oklahoma State would have blew us out, we would be okay right now. It's just
Mhm.
the we saw them up on a top 15 team on the road, and it just collapsed like it has in the past. So I don't know,
Agreed.
but all right. So outside of maybe Arkansas, what's the biggest disappointment so far in the
Biggest
SEC? Yeah,
biggest disappointment. I think it's all kind of relative to context, but
yeah,
I'd have to go, right? I mean, Florida disappointing for sure. I think they're even worse than we
Mhm.
thought. But to be fair, we all saw that, so I don't want to go the
yeah,
low hanging fruit there.
yeah,
I thought Mississippi State was going to be pretty bad again. It's funny both those teams played this week. I didn't think they
yeah.
were going to be that bad. I mean, their run defense, us three are putting up rushing yards against them. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I would say realistically, the biggest disappointment from an expectation probably Kentucky's offense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad. I mean, their performance against South Carolina was like, I mean, in major college football today with modern offenses, y'all know this, against South Carolina, and I know they played well against, not offensively, the defense played well against Georgia, but they threw for 42 yards in a modern day college football
Yeah,
game. Is a
yeah,
team that's between two quarterbacks they threw for 42 yards. I mean, that's hard to do.
Mhm.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
last week against Georgia, I mean, they played well defensively. I thought Georgia was banged up, didn't play well. Still didn't produce a whole lot on offense, Kentucky. I just don't even know what their identity is from an offensive standpoint. Like, I don't even know what they're trying to do. I thought Brock Vandergrift would be used more in the run game. The offensive line played a little more physical against Georgia. I feel like they kind of quit. I feel like the defense kind of quit against South Carolina once they realized they were down 2 scores and they weren't going to score anymore.
mhm,
But, yeah, I would probably say to answer your question, I would say Kentucky's offensive line, not the offense in general, and Bush Hamden and the Brock Vandergrift experiment have been really disappointing.
yeah. I just think of it as from Mark Stoops. At the end of last season, he was on his bags were packed to Texas A&M. You know, and
Somebody I was on a
thinking,
show with today made a good
yeah,
point. It was almost like,
yeah,
and again, he's not planning this. It's just kind of like
yeah,
that guy was 1 foot on another jet going to College Station, Texas, and essentially turned no, and he had to go back, and just kind of like, what's my
yeah,
motivation here after what? Since
yeah,
2013, this is my 13th, 14th season in Lexington. Like, it's kind of just feel like it's ran its course. It's always like I was told when I worked in college football, like after about 10 years, outside of guys like Nick Saban, I mean, Kirby Smart hadn't been in Georgia for 10 years, but for the most part, your message kind of goes stale after about a decade.
yeah,
Right, wrong, or indifferent. It
Mhm.
just kind of does. You need a
yeah,
change. But
yeah,
no, I would say that. Yeah, I would definitely say Kentucky, especially offensively, just how bad they are.
yeah. And this just another quick question: if Florida loses, is Billy out?
Oh, if he's gone,
Yeah.
I don't think they want to, but I think, yeah, I mean, again, most coaches get fired going into a bye week. Look at the calendar. It's their bye week. And Mississippi State, and I compared it to on social media the other day to a team y'all are very familiar with. The 2019 Razorbacks is what Mississippi State looks like one of the worst in the past few decades. From a specific – I mean, Mississippi State looks really bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, was Mike Leach that involved in all of it to, when he's gone, it just goes into a dumpster fire? I don't know.
No, even their run defense, I didn't like the defensive coordinator hire. They run like a soft three-man front. I mean, the Scatterboo kid for Arizona State, I think, still running. That kid rushed for 275 against them 2 weeks ago by himself. And even the Toledo game was never close. It was like 28-3 at one point. It was like 14-3. Like, all right, Mississippi State will fight back. 21-3, okay. Maybe you'll make some miracle comeback. 28-3, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to get blown out at their own stadium here, aren't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So now this next question, it's going to sound weird because Bama's in the top 5, but just by listening to podcasts and watching TV, I think some people are overlooking Alabama. Do you feel that way?
I think Bama's sleeping a little bit. No, I do think they have some holes, but you're right. Like, I feel like nobody's really talking about them for whatever reason. Like, again, like they're in whatever they fifth this year, a fifth this week in the AP poll. Like, again, they're not getting disrespected in the polls, but nationally, I think people kind of want to go see what they do against a beat up Georgia team. I mean, you saw the snap counts. Right now, I've been asked who you would pick to win that game. I'd probably go Alabama next week just because of how beat up and how many reps their interior defensive lineman for Georgia had to play against Kentucky. I mean, they played predominantly 3 guys on the interior the whole game, which that adds up. They're already beat up. But, yeah, I think Bama is. I do think they have some holes in the back end that you saw with even Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Wisconsin where there were guys open down at the third level. There's just not a quarterback they played yet. It can hit them. And, again, some of it's not Kalen DeBoer or Kane Womack's fault, the defensive coordinator. I mean, they have 6 scholarship cornerbacks. 3 of them are true freshmen. And a lot of that's either due to portal with stuff leaving them not being able to really fill it because of the timing of Nick Saban's retirement. But everybody's thin on the back end. But that's pretty rough, even at Alabama. You factor in injuries. Malachi Moore, you can't lose him. Looks like he has a concussion. Will he be back against Georgia? You hope. You don't know, though, but they're an injury or 2 away on that back end for having real holes. I think defensively they're going to be a real bend but don't break defense and try to hold people to field goals in the red zone. I think they're going to give up yards this year. Just depends how they are in the red zone.
Yeah, they're ranked right now. They're ranked number 4 in the AP with Ole Miss at number 5. Which a lot of people think Ole Miss is a better team, but
I think, I would agree with that right now. But and I think offensively for Jalen Milroe, you can tell they kind of they're running him from a design scheme standpoint more so than Tommy Rees and Nick Saban did last year. And I think Bama's got one of the better interior offensive line between Parker Brailsford, who came over from Washington at center, Jaden Roberts at right guard, and then Tyler Booker at left guard, who's probably their most versatile offensive lineman across the board. I like what Bama's doing. Still feels a little boom or bust, though, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like an offense is going to go have a 10 to 12 play drive and just cash it in like you saw under Nick Saban at times. It's very, we may go have a 3 to 4 yard or a false start penalty and we're at 1st and 15, but you know what? They go pick up a bunch of yards. And I'll say this, I think the receivers may be the fastest group in the league. They're so athletic on the edges. They're a fast team overall. Just in general, they're like a very fast team from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Very athletic.
Sometimes it seems like it's just F it. Williams is down there somewhere, streaking.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because it's for him to be 17 and dominate like he's doing. It's
did you know that? In fact, they don't tell us enough on the broadcast.
I know, right? I know. And just like with Monte Harrison for Arkansas, he played. He's 28, 29, played in the major leagues. We all know it. But all right, now we talked about Mississippi State earlier. Do you think they can turn it around, or is this going to be a? Dude,
I think they're staring at 2-10 right in the face. I mean, I don't see them getting a league win. I mean, you looked at the schedule going into it. Arkansas with 1. There's no way they get a road win on the league. No way. I mean, they go at Texas, at Ole Miss, at Georgia, and at Tennessee. No way. Home, Arkansas, which I think Arkansas is a lot better than them. I do not see that happening. I mean, I think Malachi Singleton can go win that game against Mississippi State. I think they're that bad. Then if they get Missouri, I think at home, no. I think they get A&M at home, probably not. And then I forget who's the fourth conference game they got at home.
They got Mizzou.
Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss.
Oh shoot!
I said those. Who's the home
Let's
game?
see.
Oh, Florida this week. It's Florida this week. Sorry, and I don't think
yeah.
they'll win that, and I don't think they're going to win that. Even though, dude, you could write me a script in that game very similar to the Auburn Arkansas game, and I would play. I mean, it's almost like who's going to give a damn in that Mississippi State Florida game. If someone gets in a big hole quickly, 14-17 to nothing in that game, I think that other team quits.
Oh yeah,
But I don't see a lot of fight back if someone gets down. Whoever throws that heavyweight punch early, I don't think you're going to have the loser of that coming, or the team who gets down early coming out of that.
So Vegas sees it, I think, a 7-point game.
That's wild. As bad as Florida is, they're still favored by 7 going into Starkville.
Yeah, just how bad the Bulldogs are. But as Arkansas fans, we're thankful that someone else is, not as bad as we are.
So I mean, we really have no room to talk. So.
Yeah, and
dude, I think Arkansas would crush Mississippi State right now.
Yeah. You talked about Singleton. There's a lot of fans in Arkansas who are crying for Singleton to be the quarterback.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I liked Malachi and his family. So we recruited them when I was at UCF. It came down to Arkansas and us, so we were involved in his recruitment quite a bit.
Yeah.
His cousin, Reed Whittemore, the kid that plays receiver for State. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. But I think Green is our guy right now. But
for sure.
All right, so let's preview the Arkansas Auburn game. I think it's going to be weird things happen down at Auburn involving Arkansas. With the backwards fumble that wasn't called.
What's the most memorable game down there?
Yeah, it's been something, not good for Arkansas.
One that comes out to mind to me when you're talking about Arkansas Auburn, probably when I was in high school, was it 06, the year Arkansas won the West? Arkansas went in there out of nowhere and kind of blew them out, and it kind of springboarded them to go win the West.
Yeah.
But that was Gus with the OC. That was Mitch Musgreen. That was Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and them.
Oh yeah, that was McFadden's coming out party.
Well, it was kind of when they ran that little like muck huddle. They gave it to Reggie Fish on the edge or something on like a fourth down, and he scored. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And Arkansas kind of blew them out. And I think Auburn was a top 5 team. I think.
I want to say they were number 2 for some reason.
Yeah, you're right. They were ranked high. They just beat LSU, I think, the week before. And then Arkansas ends up winning the West, and should have won the SEC championship game that night. If speaking of Reggie Fish, if he doesn't fumble the punt,
that's another.
That's another
name that's banned in Arkansas. Is the name Reggie Fish. It's I remember watching that game like it was yesterday, and just but I think it should be a good game. Arkansas plays better on the road. You're going against a redshirt freshman quarterback with one start, So on paper, it looks like Arkansas should win, but we know how that is going to go, But I think Arkansas has a great run defense. Pass defense is very questionable. We got some injuries. Braxton's out officially, and Hudson Clark is out officially. So that's going to hurt. But it is a freshman quarterback, so I don't know. I think Arkansas should win, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah, this game to me, I've said it all week. I think the wrong team's favored. Like I think a little bit of it's in an over. I know Arkansas didn't play well against UAB last week, but from talking to people over there, Travis Williams, who y'all know is the defensive coordinator, had his 4th kid last week. He wasn't in the building much except practice. I don't even think he really helped scheme up much that week because I think Pitt told him to go home, and because he has 3 other girls, so that's probably a lot. So I'm sure they weren't that focused. And I was listening to the Mac and Cube show yesterday. They had Trent Dilfer on there, and he was kind of talking about their strategy going in. Thought T-Will was a little aggressive. I don't know. I throw those games kind of out the window now in college football. Dude, these guys do not get that focus for those games, man. Especially UAB 0-2, especially after the emotional loss against Oklahoma State. Oh, and you have your SEC opener the next week. Yeah. Total sleepy game. So I might even think about that one. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction by Vegas to the second half of Oklahoma State and the UAB game. In this game for Auburn, Auburn doesn't really have a strength on this football team. There's really nothing Auburn goes and hangs their head on. I think Jarquez Hunter, one of the more underrated players in the league, but they can't really protect or block, or they can't really block for him. I think they have some talented receivers in the receiver room. it's a little unproven. And again, do they have anyone that can distribute the football to them? I think I think the game plan for Hugh Freeze and them to get the ball out quick to Hank Brown, get him comfortable. How aggressive is T. Will initially? Because y'all remember SEC media days. What did Pitt say? He was in cover zero, 58, 60 times in 23? I mean, T. Will likes it. He's an aggressive quarterback.
He likes pressure.
I don't think they're going to let Hank Brown sit in that pocket long. I think they're going to get balls out, get him comfortable, maybe not make Arkansas so aggressive, maybe run some quick screens with Jarquez Hunter. But I think when the game settles in, like you mentioned, I mean, Arkansas held Ollie Gordon to like 2.2 yards per carry. I mean, he was a non-factor in the game outside of his one touchdown, but he got that on the goal line.
Yeah.
I don't know how Auburn generates a bunch of points, really, unless Arkansas and Taylor Green and them are giving them short fields and stuff like that. Now, maybe there's going to be some Arkansas is not good enough to lock people down. Maybe there's some bust. I mean, again, there's upside. There's potential in Auburn's receiver room with Cam Coleman, but he's not 100%. Perry Thompson, Keandre Lambert-Scott, the Penn State trainer. They have some guys. Rivaldo Fairweather at tight end. I don't know what they hang their hat on, though, from a strength of Tank Brown's first start against I think a solid team in Arkansas, against an aggressive DC. I just see a lot of negative plays on offense. I don't see them just magically clicking. I mean, if you go back and watch the New Mexico game like I did this past week, that was a close game in the first half, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't magically see Hank Brown coming in for Peyton Thorne and it being like a night and day difference like you see some Auburn people saying. Also, Peyton Thorne, he has his turnover issues. He's pretty good in the zone read game, though. Hank Brown, that's out of the playbook now. He's not that. So Arkansas didn't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, last year Thorne killed Auburn killed us by 38 points last year.
Yeah, you can say what you want about Peyton Thorne. And again, I feel like we're comparing situations here for Auburn as playing D1 and playing DB. It's not playing A or A1, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Plan A, plan B. It's not a good situation across the board for Auburn at the quarterback spot. But you do take away some of your dynamic offense with Peyton Thorne because he is good at the zone read and can run. Hank Brown's not mobile in the pocket. They're going to have to maneuver him because if Auburn doesn't throw on their own terms and it's third and long, I think they're in trouble. They're going to be in trouble unless Arkansas is missing tackles in the flats and busting coverage. Now, on the other side, I think Bobby Petrino and them are going to have a good plan. New Mexico put up pretty good yards against Auburn, and the Dan Pierre kid, the quarterback for New Mexico last week, almost a poor man's Taylor Green. And Auburn their corners were so worried about him taking off on the edge, they would come and try to tackle him and bail on their man. It would just be wide open for some busted coverage. Yeah. That's probably going to happen this week. Yeah. Unless the good thing for Auburn, they saw it last week. They have it on film. They can try to go correct it. But again, DJ Durkin and that defense, I don't know. I just don't see. What's the major matchup that Auburn has the advantage in? I'm asking y'all. What do y'all think? Some for sure, hands down matchup that you're like, yeah, Auburn's got the advantage.
Special teams.
Killing my guy, Scott Fountain. Maybe. But my prediction, my final prediction in this game. Let me see. I have it on the show. I said it the other day, but my final prediction for this game is I have 34-24 Hogs, dude. Yeah. I think Arkansas kicks a field goal to go up 2 scores late and just puts it away. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I picked him on our sheet on the SEC Unfiltered channel. I'll be at the game, the SEC Unfiltered tour. Myself, Chris Phillips, will be at Auburn on Saturday morning. We'll be at the game. We're actually sitting in the Arkansas section because I got tickets through Arkansas staff. But, dude, I don't know. I just don't really even think – again, I think the wrong team is favored in this game. And I think it's going to show come Saturday evening. I don't see a lot of strengths here for Auburn.
Yeah, I agree because if you go down quarterback Arkansas, running back Arkansas, receivers, it could be a toss-up, but Andrew Armstrong.
But Arkansas's receivers aren't bad as a unit. I think Andrew Armstrong's been pretty good.
Yeah, and he's only played 2 games.
He's been hurt.
He didn't get those stats against UAPB.
But Luke Haas is due to break out.
Oh, yeah. The tight ends are due, any of them. It's – so, like I said, and I think an underrated matchup is DJ Durkin versus Petrino because they were together last year.
At A&M last year, yeah.
So I
don't know. I trust Bobby Petrino. I think Taylor Green can make enough explosive plays. I like Quentin Jackson. I like the Arkansas run game. Auburn's probably best spot on the defensive level is their pass rush with Keldrick Falk. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't really see a major advantage except that it's at Auburn.
Yeah, and also third downs. Arkansas leads the nation. They're first, and like
That's what I'm saying, dude. This wouldn't shock me if this game was a double-digit win for us. And I'm not saying I said this on a show and someone's like, "Whoa," but like I'm not saying 41-17 or something like that. I'm just saying like I could see Arkansas kind of starting to pull away in the fourth quarter.
Yep. So, well, we start off Saturday with Mississippi State, Florida. And then we go into Arkansas and Auburn. Then the nightcap is one I've been looking forward to is Oklahoma, Tennessee. So, just real quick, what's your quick prediction?
I think this game's going to be closer than people think because I do think, obviously, I mean, it's almost like a WrestleMania lead up. You got Heupel versus old team. It's almost like his old tag team partner. They had a fallout. Here we go. Has it been a distraction for Tennessee this week? I don't know. I do think Tennessee's the better team, but I do think this is Nico's biggest test yet against the Oklahoma defense, who I think has the least amount of question marks in the league. I'm not saying not the highest upside, but they have a lot of guys who played in Brent Venables' system, a lot of vets. It's on the road. Oklahoma's first SEC game. And y'all know, Oklahoma's not really used to hosting a lot of big games because they get Texas and Dallas every year. So, I mean, K-State sometimes, maybe your biggest home game, Texas Tech. That place is going to be rocking. College game days there, Josh Pate's there, everybody's there. I mean, I guess except us, we'll be at y'all's game in Auburn. But
we appreciate it.
I think overall in that game, I would take Oklahoma in the first half. I think it's going to be close in the first half. But I think the difference of the matchup here is I think everybody's going to talk about the chess match between Venables, Zach Alley versus the Heupel offense, which I think is going to be fun to watch. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be one though. Can Oklahoma protect Jackson Arnold? Do they get some of these wide receivers? They've had 4 of their top 5 wide receivers out. They've only had Deion Burks. They're supposed to get 2 of them back. Can that offensive line protect to give them time to go attack a Tennessee secondary while I think's improved? But I think it's fair to say we don't know how improved because they played NC State, who's a run-first team with Grayson McCall. Once Tennessee got up 2 scores in that game, it was over because that's not NC State's strength. They needed to control the game, run the football. I think Tennessee here, ultimately, though, in the fourth quarter, I think that defensive line front 7 starts to take over. I think they have a big advantage against that Oklahoma offensive line. I know they're getting some guys back to Oklahoma on that offensive line. That's the first time they'll be playing against each other. Oklahoma's played 3 different centers in 3 games so far. That's a lot of – there's just not a lot of continuity on that front with those 5 guys. So I think ultimately – that will be the issue. It rears its ugly head. I think it's a lower scoring game. I take the under. I think Tennessee wins this one 27-21.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than people think. But like I said, Tennessee is just.
If Tennessee goes in there and knocks these dudes, Tennessee may be the best team in the country.
Yes, for sure. I mean, you put up 63, 62 and a half. I don't care who you play. I don't care who you.
If they go put up 40 on Oklahoma at Oklahoma against that veteran defense, that would be impressive.
Yep.
That'd be. I mean, I think the magic number. If Tennessee gets to 30, I don't think Oklahoma can keep up.
No. Well, Dave, we appreciate it. Hopefully, you enjoy the Auburn game. Arkansas.
I appreciate it, fellas.
So we will check back with you maybe next week, maybe 2
weeks. Y'all let me know. Hell, I'll be on next week too. I should be free. I'll come on whenever, and I appreciate y'all having me on, guys. I love coming on.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Big Suey, boys.
Yes, sir. We pig.
Yes, we pig.
All right, so always good to have Dave on. He is from, he writes for SEC Unfiltered, which if you don't follow them, you need to because they put out some great content. They travel at least, like you said, once. They go to a game once a week, so they put out some good podcasts, and they're very knowledgeable about all 16 now teams in the SEC. So and he's got knowledge. He's used to be a coach at Texas A&M and Central Florida, so he's got some good connections. But all right, here in a little bit, we will be joined by Phillip Jordan. He writes for Last Word on College Football for Auburn. He's also a host of the Phillip Jordan podcast, so we will be joined by him. So as we wait, we will kind of talk about last week's game real quick while we're waiting on Phillip. It was now I was driving. My wife's from Arkansas County, and they had their big fair and demolition derby. So I'm kind of glad I didn't have to watch it. But I was listening to Chuck on the radio, and he's painting a bad picture for me. So I'm sure it was pretty bad on TV, but it was good to see them come back. I think the play of the game for me is that onside kick because
Yeah.
if we don't recover that, they'll probably go
They'll go up
down and
3 scores.
score, and we're done. We're cooked. All right, we're cooked after that.
I know it's. I mean, gutsy calling that onside kick. It's so early in the game like that, trying to catch us off guard.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Dilfer, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, so he knows, you know, he knows the right times to call those plays.
mhm.
So what's your thoughts on the UAB game besides the
uh,
disappointment?
I mean, it was disappointing, yes, but you feel like we just kind of overlooked them. Uh,
Yeah.
we showed a clip last week. They could name a player's name on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed to kind of laugh about it. Very nonchalant about playing UAB. Obviously, thinking that we're obviously a superior athletic team. We should be able to win with ease. They went toe to toe with us and had a few good punches in on us, and hopefully, it's a wake up call to not ever underestimate your opponents.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think even Pittman even said, they didn't have a good practice that week.
Yeah. Which as Dave said,
It's yeah,
T. Will was probably not there all week, so
hmm
when your DC's not there, you can kind of lose some focus. If it's just an assistant coach running it.
yeah.
'Cause
I think this week you will see us play differently against Auburn.
yeah,
Hopefully, we haven't overlooked Auburn.
yeah.
I think it's a good conference opener for us for sure.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I mean, with Auburn being down so far this year,
Yeah.
I, I think it's a good confidence game for us. Of
Oh,
course, we
oh,
said that about the OSU game too, but
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just a life of a Hog fan. So we are going to be joined by Phillip Jordan. Hey, Phillip, how's it going?
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Appreciate y'all having me on. Talk some Arkansas and Auburn. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
excited
sir.
about it.
Yes, sir. Tell the people out there what your uh where they can find you at and whatnot.
I have a lot of places now, so it may take the whole segment, but just social media at P Jordan SEC. Got the Phillip Jordan podcast, and obviously last word on college football, where I do write about Auburn Tigers. And if for some reason you got guys listening like to hear about high school football in the Southeast Alabama portion, I have the Wiregrass High School Football Report, and I am the in studio host and producer for Dothan High Wolves on 96.9, The Legend.
So, anyways, all right. So, I want to start off. How does Hank Brown kind of change the outlook of the season? Compared to Thorne.
I don't know how much he changes the outlook. We'll have to see. I think he gives Auburn fans a little bit more confidence. And another thing, I've joked around. I said, you'd rather have a redshirt freshman throwing 4 interceptions than a fifth-year senior
Yeah.
that's seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Hank Brown, though, what he does give optimism. And the thing about it, I think actually his lack of experience is a good thing because he doesn't know any better. He's just out there just throwing the ball around, throwing to these nice receivers that Hugh Freeze and
Oh yeah.
staff went and got. I
Mm-hmm.
say with him, too, he's more decisive than Peyton Thorne. I think a big thing with Peyton Thorne, he was always waiting for the receiver to come open, not anticipating it. And he did not really read where the blitz was coming pretty good either. And a lot of times I think he got sacked just for holding on to the ball too long. Hank Brown, I think, did a much better job, albeit it is New Mexico, of just reading the defense and just getting the ball out and just getting to your playmakers because Auburn's got more talent around the quarterback this year than they did last year, especially at the wide receiver position. It's just distributing the football. So I think if he's able to do that, no turnovers, that's a positive. I know Hugh Freeze, it doesn't sound like he's done with Peyton Thorne
Yeah.
from his comments this week and after the game. But yeah, I think just Hank Brown right now is just there's a little bit more enthusiasm and optimism with him. See if he can grow as at the position, get better each week versus where Peyton Thorne is who Peyton Thorne is. I mean, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
We know what he is as quarterback, and that's not going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed Hank, he just has something about him. I can't really put my finger on. I don't know if it's just some type of moxie or confidence or. I mean, he just has it, you know. And he wasn't a very nationally known recruit, but Hugh Freeze liked him and went out and
Hmm.
got him. I don't think he started. You can correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't start high school ball to what his senior year.
Yeah, he
Hank
didn't.
did.
And recently, Trent Dilfer, who is the coach at UAB, who you guys know
Yeah.
about from
Mm-hmm.
last week, Arkansas playing them, that was his high school coach. And he
Oh.
was on, I think it was on with McElroy and Cole Kubelik last week, and he
Mm-hmm.
was asked about him. He's very high on him. Of course, Trent Dilfer's history with the Elite 11. He believes Hank Brown's an NFL quarterback. But yeah, you're right. He did not play until his senior year. So I mean, that says a lot too. Landing at a school like Auburn, only playing 1 year. I mean, don't look like it. I mean, and he showed that in a bowl game last year against Maryland when the game was pretty much over. Hugh Freeze put him in, and he's kind of got that gunslinger mentality to him. Like he's just you said it right. He has that moxie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's. I mean, Thorne. Thorne last year killed us. They beat us by what 38 points last year, and it was. That was the last chance Arkansas even had at a decent season. Auburn just went into Fayetteville and took it from us.
Yeah,
But
I mean, and Arkansas does not play well against backup quarterbacks. I will say
no,
that.
no.
He may have a Heisman type game. It's a possibility. It happens with Arkansas.
Yeah, we make every quarterback look like a Heisman contender. So,
Hmm.
Auburn
but
does too, so have that common.
look, I was looking at the stats and these teams are very, very similar. So all right, let's talk about Auburn offense. Okay, what do they what do they do well? And what do they struggle against?
What do they struggle against? Let's go with what to do well. I think with
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, as I said, running the ball's got to be the key factor for this team. And that was one thing with me. I know a lot of people look at the Cal game and just put that squarely on Peyton Thorne.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was all his fault. One, I did not like the play calling from Auburn in that game because, okay, the first drive, you go 3 for 3, boom, 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 touchdowns. Okay, I get it. But I think Hugh Freeze and the staff kind of fell too in love with that, and they got away from what they are. Look, they have a guy that was voted all SEC running back in Jarquez Hunter. Feed him the football. And they saw what happened last week against New Mexico when they give him the football. The offense has to start there. So Auburn, when they dedicate themselves to the running game with Jarquez Hunter, with Damari Austin, Jeremiah Cobb's another player that can make some plays. That's the key there. And just getting the ball to their young wide receivers. Cam Coleman, he was out last week, hurt his shoulder against Cal. He's one. Malcolm Simmons is a guy, he's a playmaker. That's just what he's going to do. Um, and then you got Perry Thompson. That's another one. We haven't really seen much of Bryce Kane, but also they brought some guys from the transfer portal that have experience. You have Robert Lewis coming in from Georgia State, Keandre Lambert Smith. He looks like he at least is the number 2 guy, and Rivaldo Fairweather at tight end. The offensive line's okay. I still think blitzes may be an issue with this team because one, Hank Brown hadn't seen it, and Peyton Thorne never sees it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I see offensively with Auburn. Maybe right now the blitz, and if they get kind of behind a little bit, I don't think whoever's playing at quarterback is one of them guys. Okay, it's 3rd and 15, go get it. Maybe not, but if they get the ball on the playmakers that, especially their new receivers, especially if Cam Coleman is able to play, that's big. I mean, that guy's just a playmaker. I mean, this is a guy. I'm just going to say this right now. He's going to be drafted in the first round in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
He will not play his senior season at Auburn. I guarantee that. But yeah, I guess the long way of saying just getting the ball to those playmakers, that would probably be what Auburn does well. The offensive line does have some issues though.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed a stat I pulled up about Jarquez Hunter there. Auburn is 8-1 when he rushes over 100 yards, and that one is that miracle against Milrow last year. So,
We don't
as
need to
long as he
bring
gets
that
over,
up.
hey, so as long as he goes over 100, Auburn has statistically a great chance at winning. But
Absolutely.
And Hugh Freeze has kind of owned Arkansas. When he was at Liberty,
Oh,
came
yeah.
in Fayetteville, beat us, and then obviously last year was something else. All right, switch it over to the defense. Okay, what does the Auburn defense bring to the table?
Well, What half of the game are we talking about? Are we talking about first halves or second halves?
Yeah, I know.
The
I
last
like, I
two,
like Arkansas.
the the last two games, I'm telling you, they have not played well defensively in the first half. Against Cal, they stopped Jaden Ott, who was their star. But I mean, Mendoza, their quarterback, they made him look like Tom Brady back there. I mean, just sat back and he just picked them apart. And then last week, the run game, I mean, New Mexico just had so many big plays, so many times there was just busted coverage. What Auburn does well, I think they are a good front. I think they have some good players. They're not great, but they're good up front. And the linebackers are good. I think they have some. I'm sorry, guys, about that.
No, you're good.
Forgot the phone was not on silent. But the linebackers are solid. I think their front seven is good. The biggest struggle with Auburn defense right now, I think, is their secondary because against Cal, there's just a lot of times where the DB's back are just to the quarterback. They're not even looking back at the ball. They're not making a play on the ball. And then last week with a running quarterback that New Mexico had, and I know Taylor Green is capable. He is a running quarterback. He has great athletic ability. I think a lot of times the Auburn DBs were caught looking in the backfield, and there was 2 or 3 times in the first half last week where they got caught looking, and there was receivers absolutely wide open. I'll tell you guys, these receivers for New Mexico were so wide open they could have sat down, made a sandwich, ate the thing, got up, caught the ball, and there still wouldn't have been an Auburn defender near them. That's how bad it was. But in the second half, DJ Durkin and the staff, they made adjustments. So it's just kind of that's why I made the joke. Which half we talking about?
Yeah.
In the second half of these games, they did, especially against Cal, did a much better job at pressuring the quarterback, sending extra guys. It seemed like the first half of that game, they were just dropping. They were just trying to rush 3 or 4 and just dropping everybody, and it just wasn't working. Auburn does not have like a great pass rusher, like an individual guy. Jalen McLeod is probably the best guy at that. But outside of him, Kedrick Falk, he's getting there, but a young player coming to his second year at Auburn. But yeah, they have to use. I think Auburn has to use blitzes and other ways of getting to the quarterback, creating pressure. But at the end of the day, that does put pressure on the secondary, which is very inexperienced. Keontae Scott is the only guy that came back from last year's group, and before last year or during last year, he was more of your inside corner. Well, they tried moving him to the outside. That hasn't really worked. So I think he's best fit as an inside corner. But yeah, the secondary is an issue right now, I think, for Auburn.
Yeah. Just copy and paste for Arkansas. Right, Jason?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could be wide open and still drop it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
we've seen that already plenty of times this year.
Or
Well, that was
Taylor
Auburn
might
last
sell
year.
it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a underrated matchup coaching wise is Durkin versus Petrino because they're both they were both at A&M last year, so they should know each other pretty well.
Hey, Auburn people know all about Bobby Petrino. Don't tell Tommy Tuberville about it. That's just that's the only thing.
All right, so Auburn wins if what?
I think they get the running game going. This obviously Arkansas is a step up over New Mexico, and the pressure's there. SEC game, more eyeballs will be on you. 2:30 kickoff, of course. I think for Hank Brown, it's just going to be don't force things. Do not, don't try to be too much of a gunslinger. Just take what the defense is giving you. I think offensively, and I know Arkansas, their run game has been pretty good going into it. I was kind of wondering about that because you guys lost Raheem Sanders off of last year, which I know last year wasn't good for anybody at Arkansas. No, particularly him. He did not have a good year, what you were expecting him to have after that good year prior. But the running game's there, and Auburn showed some. I think Auburn showed some things defensively in the first half that could concern you for this game because Talon is a good quarterback again. He can throw the ball well. Receivers are talented there at Arkansas, and then also he has that running ability and then the run game. I just got Auburn in some trouble last week, and I think Auburn's going to have to really clamp that down, the secondary again. But Auburn wins this game, I think. No turnovers, just play your game. Jarquez Hunter run the ball and just kind of run the passing game off that running game. If Auburn's able to run the ball effectively, I think they should win this game. I think it's going to be a very fun game to watch between these two teams. Well, I think that's kind of like the key to victory for Auburn.
Yeah, and I think they for a young quarterback, the best thing is a run game because you can play off that play action.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it is.
give us your prediction. Okay, you will not hurt our feelings. Okay, we're not your we're not your typical Razorback fans who will throw things at the wall. But
Hey, listen. I know in the past there's been a contentious feelings between Arkansas and Auburn fans over the way some of these games have went.
yeah, oh yeah,
Uh,
that the fumble was one that
it,
comes from COVID, that COVID year.
oh,
it
Bo
was a
Nix, yeah,
fumble.
yeah, it was, it was. I mean, as a guy that has cheered for Auburn growing up and all that other stuff. I mean, I wasn't disappointed with the outcome, but yes, that was a fumble with what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think Auburn should win this game just because they're at home. I think Arkansas still probably are still trying to figure some stuff out. I mean, even though they don't have a new coach, it just feels kind of like not a rebuilding year, just a reset year. I guess is that what I
Mhm.
could say with Arkansas with Sam Pittman and Bob Petrino. But I think Auburn found some things last week. I do think Arkansas is going to make some plays, though. I don't see this game getting ugly either way. A score prediction for me, I think Auburn probably wins this game like 30-27, 30-24, something like that. I think it comes down to the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, and somebody's going to make a stop or somebody's going to make a big play offensively.
Yep. So a huge game for both teams. They both open up conference play 2:30 this Saturday. Should be an exciting matchup after the snooze
Mm-hmm.
fest of Mississippi State, Florida. So should be a little bit better ball game. But yeah, I am expecting a close game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think no one's gonna get blown out like
No.
last year. So,
Mm-mm. Last year shocked me. That was I was shocked watching that Auburn going out to Fayetteville. I was shocked.
yeah. Yeah, that was.
Well,
I think Arkansas had to win that to even to get the
be bowl
six.
eligible. Yeah.
To they had to win that and the last two, and Auburn just came in and took it from us, and that
Mm-hmm.
was it. That's all
They
she
did
wrote.
not carry that momentum though, because a few weeks later, New
Oh
Mexico
yeah,
State came to
yeah,
Jordan Hare and gave them a little dose of it
yeah.
for themselves. So
And that was even worse for Arkansas fans because they're like, look, Auburn came in, beat us by 30, and now look at them. It's not good. But Philip, we appreciate you coming in with your insight and
Yeah.
all that. Be sure to follow him at PJordan on X. So Jordan, Philip, we enjoyed it.
all right, guys,
Mhm.
appreciate y'all having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. So, that's good stuff. Good stuff from Philip there.
Yeah.
So now to get to, we're gonna run down real quick. We didn't heard from Auburn people, heard from SEC people. So now let's hear from us. So Arkansas offense, what are your predictions, thoughts about the offense this weekend?
I still predict that we're still going to be having success running the ball. I mean, we've had that so far this year is running. I'd like to see the pass game get better. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
maybe this is the game that it happens in, but that has to get better. Um,
yeah,
that's the only thing I can really say about the
yeah.
offense. I mean, I mean, I would like to see the offense. Like, the offensive line is better this year. I would like to see them protect Taylor Green a little bit more.
Yeah. Which I don't know if that's Talon not trust taking off
Yeah.
too soon, not trusting him. I
Hmm.
don't mean it's hard. It's only we only play 3 games, really two. I
Yeah.
don't really count UAPB, but I guess we have to. But I think the offensive line is very improved.
Hmm.
Probably, I mean, it's not the best in the SEC. Probably what top 8, maybe top 7
Yeah.
in the SEC. But I'm just gonna go over some numbers real quick. Our scoring offense is 5th in the SEC and 11th nationally. Total offense, so it's like total yards is 3rd in the SEC, 5th nationally. Our rushing offense is 3rd in the SEC, 11th nationally. Our passing offense is 3rd in the SEC, 12th nationally. And our 4th down conversions were number 1 in the SEC, number 1 nationally. So
Which has been surprising this year because we have been especially last year, really bad on third down.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been in some like at Oklahoma State, 3rd and 14s, 3rd and
Hmm
12s, because they'll
Yeah.
have a delay game or a false start, push us
hmm
back, and we still somehow ended up getting it. I'm looking for the tight ends to show up. I'm not blaming this on them. Maybe it's just the play calls.
hmm
I mean, I know Luke's hurt. Has a little back problem that's been hurting him a little bit, but he's been great blocking in
hmm
the run game. So I mean, he's as a tight end, you got to do two things: you got to catch the
Yeah.
ball and you got to block. So he's doing the blocking part right. He just needs the ball a little bit more. Andrew Armstrong is a stud. As Petrino likes to feed the studs, he's one of his studs. The game's gonna come down to Green, Jackson, and Armstrong.
Mm.
I mean,
It,
you
and
may have some old school read option
mm.
RPO. I mean, that's what it's gonna come down to.
and I'd like to see Taylor Green settle down early in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, maybe make a couple good short passes, kind of gets confidence up. I don't want to see him come out overhyped, overthrowing receivers. Uh, he's got to cut down on his interception. I mean, he's had at least two very costly interceptions this year.
Yeah, and Mike Irwin through KARK and Hogville. He has a Ask
Hmm
Mike portion of the show, and he said he knows somebody that knows Taylor very well, and said before the game this past he was just anxious, overhyped, as you said, and like
Yeah, it obviously shows.
and Jackson like during the game had to like, dude, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. So I mean, it showed in those passes. I mean, he was
Hmm
I mean, Broden's pretty tall. If you overthrow him, you got issues. But when the ball gets to Broden, he's got to catch it.
Yeah,
He's got to catch it.
that's another thing. We've got to catch, especially these wide open catches. We've got to catch.
Yeah. All right, switch over to defense now. Defense is you got good and bad. All right, go over some our rushing defense ranks 8th in the SEC and 30. No, I'm sorry, wrong team. We're ranked 3rd in the SEC, 7th nationally. So we're in the top 10 nationally for rush defense. But our passing defense is 14th in the SEC, 86 nationally. So
I
there's a
mean,
big
they had.
discrepancy there.
I mean, they got to get to the quarterback.
And
You
Landon,
know.
you saw his comments, Landon Jackson.
hmm
So
I mean, he understands it. I mean, this is not his first season with the Razorbacks. I mean, he knows what SEC play is about. He knows what it takes.
hmm so like he said if we play like we did against UAB, SEC teams are going to come in and whip us.
Hmm
Basically, what he said. And let's do the interviews this week. It seems that everyone's kind of reset, like on focus. Like last week they didn't even know the players'
Yeah.
names. And on Monday's press conference with Pittman, I think he did it on purpose. He was just naming. He just kept naming names of Auburn. He's like, see, I'm watching film. Now the defense will be without Braxton and without Clark. Those are the two main ones that will be out officially because the SEC requires
hmm
injury reports now. So they were listed as out. So I know people like to make fun of Clark, but he is very important.
Yeah.
I would like to have one of them back, but having both of them out, it could turn us to a track beat.
hmm
I mean, Auburn has some. I'm telling you, Auburn's got some studs at receiver. The quarterback just
Yeah.
has to get it to him.
That's why a lot of it's going to depend on that defensive line. Can they put
Mm-hmm.
pressure on that freshman quarterback?
Because Hank Hill here, Hank Hill Brown, he does not like to run. He's your old school quarterback. He's your old school pocket passer. He had one rush last week for -2 yards. So he doesn't even try to run. So if those corners and safeties, if they can cover it and get the defensive line just a little bit of time, maybe we can get to him. And with him being a young quarterback, rattle him a little bit, make him see some ghost out there. Maybe he can throw some timely interceptions.
Well, I mean, do you think they'll turn up the defensive pressure early in that game?
Oh yeah, I think T. Will, with him being a former Auburn player, and with the way Auburn beat us last year,
Hmm.
he's going to be really focused, and especially how the defense performed last week without him there, basically
Hmm.
for preparations. I think you're going to see a focused defense. I'm not necessarily going to say a great defense, but I think you know the key of the game is I think Landon Jackson.
Hmm.
He's got to get going because if he gets going, the rest of the defensive line is going to get going.
Yeah.
Uh, so Arkansas wins if what? Which I can go first. If you want me to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go first. It's okay.
All right. Arkansas wins if Green throws for 250 and runs for 80, and Jackson runs for 100. That's it. That's the ball. I mean, that's the ball game. I don't care about the defense. I mean, if they give up plays, oh well. The offense has to go match it. You know.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be one of them. I think it's going to be kind of a back and forth game. Like if they punt, we're going to punt. If they score, we're going to score. Type of games.
Hmm.
So I think Green has to have 0 turnovers. Jackson has to have 0 turnovers. We have to have 0 muff punts. We got to kind of play a perfect game. Now we do play well on the road, and we do play well after a loss. We kind of get not a loss, but like a disappointing game. And UAB was a
Uh,
disappointing game, so that's my
um,
Arkansas wins if.
yeah. I mean, Arkansas wins if Taylor Green cuts down on turnovers. If our receivers actually show up to catch the ball, and we continue to control the offense with our run game. Um, Again, I love when our run game gets going. It just eats away at the clock, but it's also a double-edged sword if you're playing from behind.
Yeah,
Um, we especially win if we keep the field goal unit off the field.
yeah,
I don't think this game is really going to come down to it. I think I'm agreeing with you on this. I think it's just going to be a shootout. So I don't really suspect us having to kick any field goals. Uh, and also, if we keep cutting down on the penalties, keep cutting that down, I think we'll be okay.
So as always, we have not discussed scores. So last week we had the same 52-10. We were very wrong. When they scored 10,
Yeah.
UAB scored 10. I texted you. I was like, all right, we're right so far. They scored 10. They just can't score again. Uh, but yeah, we were way wrong. I know
Yeah.
talked to some people in town and at work that Arkansas was the reason their parlay did not hit. They had 3 legs correct, and the 4th leg was Arkansas minus 20, and obviously it did not work. But, so you went first last week, so I'll go first this week. I've got 42, Arkansas 42, Auburn 35.
You're
It's
not too.
seven
You're not.
7 point win.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have us a 7 point win, but you're not too far up. I got Arkansas 35, Auburn 27
So so
or
we
28. I'm sorry.
yeah. So we see them. So yeah. Now here's the thing. If Arkansas does not win this game, it's about to be bad.
I mean, is it? I
Because
mean, a lot. I mean, a lot of people thought we were going to lose this game anyways.
I know, but they don't want their predictions to be correct. Because I'm telling you, we won against UAB. People were mad, which they had every right to be. I'm not saying they didn't, but
I mean, honestly, though, I think this is, it's a lost season anyways.
yeah.
Honestly, I think Pittman's gone at the end of the year, no matter what, no matter how good we do. I still think he's gone at the end of it.
So and I mean everything's lined up for Arkansas. They got a freshman quarterback.
Hmm.
Their defense is not playing too well. They've already been beat by Cal. I mean, we were beat by Oklahoma
Hmm.
State, but those are not equal. Okay,
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's a lot better than Cal. They really struggled last week against New Mexico. I mean, the final score doesn't show that, but they kind of struggled. That's why I said if everything's kind of backing up against Auburn, but Hugh Freeze he's got Sam Pittman's number, he's got Arkansas's number. I mean, he beat us with Liberty, he beat us last year with Auburn. So, but Arkansas fans are going to see freshman quarterback, this, that, and we still couldn't get it. Still couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
And especially if we have a lead and we lose it, it's
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's not gonna be good.
if we have a second half breakdown again, I don't know how much that the fans can take.
But they can donate $100 a month and hopefully help out the NIL fund. That 100-year check, says
Well, I
that,
mean, honestly, part of that comes down to the product that's on the field. Do you want to support the product that's not doing very well over the past so many seasons?
Yeah,
Or do you want to support or do you want to support a team that's actually good, like potentially basketball?
I mean, honestly, he was comparing us to Ole Miss. Hunter, you skipped out on that coach. You didn't want him.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's not forget he also tried to leave for A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, it
was a bad taste, I think, left in everyone's mouth when he made those comments. It's kind of a person that doesn't know how to read the room. He's like, hey, if we get, what do you say, 10,000 households to donate $100. I'm like,
I mean,
really?
Generally, how many people in the state of Arkansas you think has an extra $100 a month just to give to a bad football team?
Yeah, I mean, if we were winning 9, 8, 9, 10 games, yeah, okay, that's fine. I still wouldn't donate, but
Well, yeah, I mean, you get nickel and dime if you're a season ticket holder. They want you to donate for that. They want you to donate, an extra $100 for NIL. You go to the games. If you have to stay at a hotel, that's even more expensive. You want food at the game, that's even more expensive.
If you got a family of 4 or 5 times that by 5, I mean.
And let's not forget, Arkansas is number 47 in the poor states or something like that. We're a very poor state.
Yeah. Which he compared us to Ole Miss, when Mississippi, they're pretty poor too.
Yeah.
But they also have 2 SEC teams in the state too. I mean, it was a bad look. I mean, especially for like recruits. They're like, hey, they don't have NIL money, we do. Type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not good. But that's not the first time he's made those type of comments. But we'll see. I mean, you got to win to get NIL money around here.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about football. He said the football collective, which means I think we know the basketball collective is okay with the chicken man.
Yeah.
And I guess baseball's fine too.
I mean, once you get some of the sponsors that are on the field now, Walmart, Tyson, see if they move some of that to football.
Well, he said it's not their job. He said that's not what they're there for.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also his job. It's his job to try to get out there and get it, though.
Yeah. It's also not the job of the fans who are struggling to pay the water bill to ask to donate $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. I mean,
and football doesn't. I mean, football is only 6-7 months out of the year.
Yeah, and then who's to say that player? We're donating, all the players leave. Well, okay. Am I gonna get is there a return policy or something? No. But anyway, so we both got Auburn. No, yeah, we both got Arkansas winning.
Arkansas, not Auburn.
Yeah, so we both got Arkansas winning. Should be a good game. Like I said, people who are refusing to watch the Hogs right now, you're crazy. Okay, like Trey Biddy says, you're married to Arkansas whether you like it or not. You're gonna peek at the score even though you may not watch. So you will still watch somehow. But like I said, I'll watch them. If we're down 50-0, I'll still tune in because that's that's what we do. But anyways, if you haven't yet subscribed to the 4-Star Sports Media YouTube page and like us on Facebook, follow us on X at Hogs Happy Hour and at 4-Star Sports Media. Memphis Tigers last week got a big win, so Wes and Jonathan have their shows on there, inside the Tigers Den, and And then Sunday we will be back for the wrap-up show for college football and NFL. You know, NFL is not going good. My weekends are kind of, let me tell you, I live a like sports wise, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Well,
I got
oh
the,
man,
I mean, you are too now.
I'm in the same boat.
I mean, you got Arkansas and Jack, and like they mirror each other. Like they have the same problems. It's crazy. So and then the Cowboys, yeah. But the
It's
Saints
just,
are really good though. I mean, the Browns are not.
yeah.
But anyways, thanks for joining us. We will be back next week for breaking down Texas A&M. We love going to Jerry's World.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Cowboys.
Yep. So last trip next week, but we'll break that down. Hopefully no injuries. Good game this weekend, and don't get too mad at the Hogs.